GLS 103.5 online and entertaining you with the latest news, live interviews, music, and much more. There is hope for the elderly at Unforgettable Twilight Years. Now open in Valencia. Clean and hygienic, caring and committed staff, monthly field trips, monthly massages, indoor activities, hourly, daily, and weekend care. Give us a call today on 795-8424 or 390-5457. Unforgettable Twilight Years. It's home away from home.
Quick message to all those other stations out there. Caught you listening again.
Hey, you're listening to JLS 103.5 online radio station.
It has become mandatory for persons to wear a face mask when in public in Trinidad and Tobago or face a fine. The virus that causes COVID-19 is mainly transmitted through droplets generated when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or exhales. You can be infected by breathing in the virus if you are within close proximity of someone who has COVID-19 or by touching a contaminated surface and then your eyes, nose, or mouth. GLS 103.5 urges you, let us all work together to help stop the spread of this deadly virus. Please wear your face mask, sanitize, and keep social distancing. It's easy as 1, 2, 3 finding a company that excels in electrical, plumbing, AC installation and repairs, painting and much more. SAS Electrical is here for you, giving you excellent service, great rates, timely completion. Contact SAS Electrical at 709-9215 or 359-1014. Call us today. SAS Electrical. Streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. GLS 103.5 out of Tobago. It has now become mandatory to wear a face mask when in public in Trinidad and Tobago or face a fine. The virus that causes COVID-19 is mainly transmitted through droplets generated when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or exhales. You can be infected by breathing in the virus if you are within close proximity of someone who has COVID-19 or by touching a contaminated surface and then your eyes, nose, or mouth. GLS 103.5 urges you, let us all work together to help stop the spread of this deadly virus. Please wear your face mask when in public. Buckle up those seatbelts. No drinking and driving. No overtaking on the shoulders. No texting and driving. Your family awaits you at home. Drive to arrive alive. A message from GLS 103.5.
GLS Radio 103.5. My name is DJ Talks from Ghana, and I love listening to GLS Radio 103.5. GLS Radio, Yedawase.
GLS Radio Online 103.5 Katy Street, Buku, Tobago. Sundays 5 to 7 p.m. Tobago Local Talent Blast. New local artists, features, interviews, local music, discovering entrepreneurs, local cultural icons with Sister G and Kisia, DJs, NT, and most supreme Godfrey Marie. Each and every Sunday, GLS Online Radio 103.5. Just sign in GLS Online. Yeah, you're inside with over 65,000 viewers worldwide and growing. The new voice of Tobago's culture is here. GLS Radio. Join in the fun. Every Sunday, 7 p.m., the hottest DJ since sliced bread, DJ Scorpion. Sunday School, every Sunday on GLS Radio, 103.5.
Therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show my salvation. The workers of iniquity dig a pit for me. Now they're waiting for me to fall in, trying to take me bread and butter with lies and propaganda, but they're fooling, they're only fooling. I will not be afraid of what man can do to me. Man, you see, is only vanity. You see, who God bless, no man curse. He shall never hunger or thirst. Who God bless, no man shall ever curse. He shall be first. He shall be first. Lord. Whoa. All these years of toil, burning the midnight oil, creating something from nothing. Now it reached maturity and gained popularity. Some of them claiming is their own thing, but a short truth always prevails finally. So the death of lies and deceit is a certainty. You see, who God bless, no man curse. He shall never hunger or thirst. Who God bless, no man shall ever curse. He shall be first. He shall be first.
This is Caribbean Vibes. All this envy and jealousy is causing disharmony. It's appalling and frustrating. But whosoever diggeth a pit, they shall fall in it. What they sow in, they shall be reaping. But my house is strong and no one can push it down. The foundation is from now till thy kingdom come. You see, who God bless, no man curse. He shall never hunger or thirst. Who God bless, no man shall ever curse. He shall be first. He shall be first.
Yes, good afternoon to all our loyal listeners. Welcome to GLS Online Radio. We are here once again in the island of Tobago. Once again, we say good afternoon to you and yours, wherever you're reaching us from. Good afternoon to Safia Broom, saying good afternoon to Mr. Charles and to Mr. Murray. Thank you very much First off here, good afternoon to the crew out there on Lowland Small, always locked in. And good afternoon to Nicole Pasnell as well, out there in St. James, Trinidad. Good afternoon to you. Hey, good afternoon to you, Mr. Charles. And how are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon. No change yet. I'm still excellent and peaceful by the grace of God.
Of course.
And we have not been here for 2 weeks because of what was happening. That public holiday just last week.
Yes.
It was. No, but it was Boko Goat Race.
Yes.
But you know they have cancelled.
Yeah. The gathering,
Yes. But I know that there were activities because I was down here. Remember I came down.
Yes.
I came down, but not the gathering, but what I saw people having their own little thing in their own little space.
Exactly.
We just decided that we would not run the program. But we were here.
Of course.
We had to, those who have not been in Boko would not know
Would not have known what took place.
So.
Yes.
But here we are today. And it is very troubling to me these days. I don't know why.
Yes. Good afternoon to
That Tobago has not
Byron.
yet settled down.
Say again, Tobago?
Tobago has not yet settled down since
No.
January 25th.
Wow.
And we are doing some education program. We are doing some education program using the media. In fact, there are public meetings. We had the first one in Plymouth Saturday gone. Saturday at 6 o'clock. Just only an hour and a half.
That was Saturday gone there?
Yeah, just Saturday gone. We had a public meeting. And all these meetings are actually live on the radio station, Pulse 89.5. They are live on radio, but we normally go to the villages to hold them. But you know, there is no gathering, we're not inviting people to come out. But we announce them so that you can be in your motor car, you can be in your home, you can be wherever you are, at your workplace, whatever you're doing. Once you have your radio with you, you could be able to listen to the education program. It is so, It is so crucial that we understand what is actually happening to us. And I always tell people, you know, that you have to prepare and build for a future before the future arrives. Very important, you know. You can't wait until the future is here before you build for it. That is how Noah saved the world. That he built an ark because he knew. He heard from somewhere that there's going to be a flood. God spoke to him and told him there's going to be a flood. And God waited on him. The Bible tells you that, you know, that God waited on him until he completed the building of the ark, and then the rain came. And he confounded the entire world who thought he was a madman. So when I say we need to build for the future, before the future arrives, that is so important. You couldn't wait until the flood come before you build the ark, or else everybody will die. And since none of us knows the future, only God alone knows the future. And I mean God alone, Almighty God alone knows the future. We have to try and hear from God.
So true.
You have to try and hear from it. All the examples in the world, we know that. You have to hear from him and build. The world going to condemn you, but you just hear from him and build, because only what he says is going to take place, right?
Yes.
And this is where we are today. So we are holding these public meetings. The first one on Saturday. We have 3 more. This Thursday here. Thursday is what, the 14th? Or the 15th? Thursday the 15th. Which is this Thursday here. It is going to be at Goodwood. And it's 5 o'clock. They're very early in the afternoon. They are not night meetings that we call out people. But they're going to be, it is going to be live on Pulse 89.5 FM. So people can tune in and listen to what we are saying. what is arriving,
Yes. So,
what is arriving, so that we can prepare for it and so on.
yes.
And I hope we don't behave like the people in Noah's time. Because we have been, God has been warning for a long time,
Yes.
what is actually
What is
happening and what is going. Since 2017, we know what is arriving.
Yes.
But it's very sad to me. But we just have to give God praise and so on for that too. That since January 25th, February 25th, March 25th, we go into April 25th, very close around the corner. We have an election and we just can settle down to seeing about the people's business in Tobago. It's very troubling.
Yes.
And that is because we are ignorant. And I think God has said something to us and He's showing us something that we need to pay attention to.
So true.
We said that since 2017. And while we were preparing the document that is before Parliament, as you know, down there, and people say all sorts of things. I'm saying the document that before Parliament is not the document, not the document that we send down. Changes have been made by the cabinet to it and so on. But before it is taken there, I'm sure that there's going to be the Joint Select Committee is going to come back and consult with the forum and with other people on that particular document. That is what Joint Select Committee is all about.
Okay.
That they are there to hear the views, listen to people, and so on, and then so that when they go for the debate in the Parliament, that they are almost okura with and the views of the people and what the people are saying and what they're thinking. But Tobagonians must wake up right now and get ready, because the Joint Select Committee is supposed to report by the end of by May, which is next month. It's imminent. It's right on our heels, right on our doorstep.
Yes.
And Tobagonians should not wait until that happens, and then we now jumping around the place like a chicken that loses his head.
Yeah.
And now you're running to find out what happened, because debate is taking place and something is going to happen and it's going to pass, and you can't at that time make the change you want to make or have your say the way you want to have it.
Yeah. And
this is why we are doing these educational meetings and so on, for people to understand, because those who are in the assembly, I'm not saying this very slightly, they really don't know what is required to be done.
Yes.
You voted 12 people in, and they don't understand what the Tobago House of Assembly is all about. They don't know what it is all about, and this is not, this is not a simple statement.
So true.
This is the truth. They don't know. Had they known, the assembly would have been functioning properly already. And as you know, I would have said it before that.
Good afternoon to Julie Johnson,
Winston,
and good afternoon to Mr. Winston
Good
Reed.
afternoon.
Saying good afternoon to Mr. Charles and Mr. Murray. Thank you there.
Yeah.
Now getting started here.
Yeah, so I wanted, and I started off the meeting. I want to do that, and then I'll be taking their messages, their call, and so on.
Yeah.
At the meeting in Plymouth, I did something, and I think I'm going to, not sure whether I'm going to repeat, but some of it I'm sure going to be repeated. I don't know. And I say to the country that anybody who wants to run government, whether it is the THA, the central government, a local government, a municipal corporation, you must know the tools of your trade.
The trade is so true.
And I say in Tobago, we need to know the Bible, which is the manual for human being, for mankind manual.
Yes. So true.
Somebody want to challenge me on that, I'm going to deal with it. We need to have that. We have to know, because that is the word of God about us. You know what a manual is? Everything that is either made or created, whether by God, invisible God, or by man, everything that they make, the product that they produce, they prepare something that you call a manual.
Yes.
And the manual is what the manufacturer or the creator or the producer prepared and sent it out to tell you how that product is supposed to be used. So you read your manual. We do have a problem that sometimes because of the fact that we know about a product, sometimes they change the product. They change something on it, they upgrade it, they update it, they do something on it. But you are accustomed using a television, and the television accustomed using is one that you know. So something go wrong, you put it down, you buy a new television, and you come out with a manual and you say, well, I know about it, and you start to set it up.
Yes.
You start to use without reading the manual.
Yes.
And it's only when you get into a problem, you jam, you get into a serious problem, that you now will take up the manual to start to read it.
So true.
And let me just tell you, sometimes when you find out from reading the manual what may have gone wrong with a product, you may have to spend a lot of money to buy a part for it. Sometimes it just damaged beyond repair.
So true.
You have to buy a new one.
So true.
But with regards to mankind, to human being, our manual is this, the Bible.
Yes, the Bible.
And let me tell you, you know, no replacement for us. You know? And that's why we need to read the manual.
Yes, exactly.
It's so important to read the manual. This is not joke, you know. We have to read the manual. And one is the manual is the first tool. Because if you don't know yourself, you can't do nothing else.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do. You don't know where to look. The second thing is that we need to know the constitution of the country, because the framework of all the laws. So any law you are passing in the country, and you know the law is the tool for the implementation of public policy or government policy. You call it like that. And the constitution is that supreme law, that the framework for all the laws in the country. So if any law is passed that goes contrary to that any part of the constitution, that particular law is void and of no effect to the extent of the inconsistency or the part that is in error or goes contrary to the constitution of the country. And thirdly, in Tobago, you need to know the Tobago House of Assembly Act. You need to know it. They don't know it, and that is one of the problems. And I just want to just pause here to just say, I don't know why this happened. So I took up the manual on Saturday at our meeting, and I read a piece of text from the manual, and it is James chapter 5 verses 13 to 19.
13 to 19. Okay.
And I really wanted to read from 17 to 19, but to get the real context. And I think I don't know why I wanted to do that this evening. Let me just read that. And I read it from the NIV, right? New International Version. James chapter 5, verses 13 to 19. Yeah, let me just read it. Is any among you in trouble? Let them pray. Is anyone happy? Let them sing songs of praise. Is anyone among you sick? Let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. The Lord will raise them up. If they have sinned, they will be forgiven. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Let me read again. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Verse 17. Elijah was a human being even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3.5 years. Again he prayed, and the heavens gave rain, and the earth produced its crop. My brothers and sisters, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring that person back, remember this. Whoever turns a sinner from the error of their way will save them from death and cover over a multitude of sin. I don't know why it came to me to read it, but it is saying so many things. Every time you see people going to make an error, going astray, try and see if you can help them to come back. But that is not it. Elijah prayed that there should be no rain. 3.5 years. No rainfall. And he prayed again and he said, Elijah is a human being like you, Godfrey, like me, like Brother Leet, like anybody else. Like the word of God. I don't know why I did that. So this is the first tool that we need to know. And I just did that at the meeting on Saturday.
When you get a chance, take a comment from Mr. Leeds.
I hope I'm seeing so good. Yes, thank you, Brother Leet. Yes. We need to. We don't want to. One of these days, we might spend some time talking about these foundation issues. Very important. We have to understand that what we see here, that's not the purpose of this evening, but it's so important because of the time we are in. When I saw what has happened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and as you would always know that Trinidad and Tobago is helping out a lot, and all of us should really pitch in to see how best we can help, because we don't know what is going to happen anywhere, even to us here in Trinidad and Tobago. We have been talking about that. But we have to pay attention to what's happening there out in St. Vincent. I don't want to make any comment. I pray for those people that God will give them all the provision that they require in order to go back on their feet, and that this lesson is a lesson that they will be intimate with God, knowing that we are actually in the last days, whether you like it or not. This is not the end of the time. Emmanuel said that to us. He said that in Revelation, he said that in Timothy. In the last days, certain things will happen. And these things begin to happen. And we'll come to Trinidad and Tobago sometime. It's so important. It's so important that we pay attention to what's happening out there. We don't know what's happening. And just remember, my information today is that the ash that would have affected Barbados is a lesson for Tobagonians. They have to shut down the airport because it was closed. And they said that Northeast Tobago may experience some of that. Grenada is affected, and we are closed. They said that today, that even Northeast Tobago might be affected because of the closeness that we have. And that is why we keep saying that we need to look at the Caribbean in quite a different way, look at Tobago quite differently from how we have been looking at it. We're looking at it in relation to Trinidad only, and not looking at Tobago in relation to the Caribbean and to the rest of the world. And anybody who thought that Mr. Robinson is not a sensible person, I mean, something had to be wrong with you. When he went and moved this motion for Tobago, is not to break up the union, was to strengthen the union and to provide a model for the multi-island nations in the Caribbean. Because you always have a problem. You always have two islands that form a nation in the Caribbean. Most of the nations in the Caribbean like that, as you would know. Because you know Trinidad and Tobago, huh? We are like that. We are St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have Bequem, Mustique. Well, we call it the Grenadines. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have Antigua and Barbuda. You have Grenada and Carriacou and so on. You know, most of them are like that. There are two islands that form a nation, St. Kitts and Nevis and so on. And we have not been paying attention to what model we must come up with. And that is what Tobago, what we were saying, you know, and doing, you know, that we need to prepare a model that would allow them to remain a nation, but at the same time allow important institutions of governance to be sited and located on both islands, so that in case anything goes wrong with anyone, that the other one will be able to carry on and will be able to render assistance, because we are one. We are one. We are one. And if people, yeah, there is no Yolanda Cordner. Very, very important. And I didn't want to spend too much time this evening, but I wanted to see that I am very saddened by the fact that the people of Tobago would have rallied around people and would have gone and voted in an election. And up to now, people are in a quandary. None of those persons who you have voted for know what to do. They don't know what to do. And people are just troubled. And I'm telling you, we are getting very close to budget time. Not only for Tobago, but also for Trinidad and Tobago. And the country is in a very serious financial and economic state. I am not going to deal with those matters now. When the time comes up, I am going to bring the documentations in 1999 and onwards. I've been talking to the government of this country about what was likely to happen. And this is why maybe I was told to read that part of the scripture that Elijah is a man just like me and you. I ain't claim to be anything, you know. But we have been saying something. People say, oh, try everything you tell we happen. I say, no, I'm not saying that, you know, because I'm nothing but dust. Without the Spirit of God, I'm nothing but dust. I hear things that you all don't hear. Everything I tell you happened. The last election that just gone there, I tell you, don't participate in it, you know. Just tell the government, don't involve in this thing, you know. This thing is a mockery, you know. It's a sham. And if you all go in it, it's going to be a crisis, it's going to be created, you know. But you were told. You were told. Let them fix the self-government thing, you know, so, and then hold one proper election where the people of Tobago will be able to select the people to run the place. People went and doing it, bam, the crisis is created. Up to now, nobody knows what to do. You were told. Don't worry, don't try. Not me, don't worry about me. You see, like I'm anxious about anything. I'm never anxious about anything. You notice, I'm not running for anything. My business is to really educate you to give you the truth. And that's why I tell you, when you hear the truth, when you make sure you love one another and you spread the truth to people, somebody going down the road, going on the wrong road, try and bring them back to the truth so that they will be able to be spared the rot that is to come. That's all. Yeah, you were saying that. Good evening. Very important. But could anybody tell me, I really don't know what is actually happening with Tobago. What is actually happening? I wonder why. I had a little documentary that says something. Oh, yes. I had mentioned this on your program, you know, and I have been doing some reading since, and I just wrote these quotes. Remember I told you, if Tobago is not, remember God selected Moses and sent him down in Egypt and say, tell Pharaoh to set my people free so that they can serve me, the God. You know, Moses, Pharaoh had in heart until God shall create a crisis. I told her that on this program. God wants us to be free so that we can set up what He wants to be here in the island of Tobago so we can go to operate and serve Him. But I've been saying that, and then I look and I pick out about 4 different quotes. One from John Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was a president of the United States of America. And I don't know why I took the program like this evening. You notice I'm not on the hard subject. The next one was from another president of America, Abraham Lincoln. And those fellas fought, The next one is again another one, John Stuart Mill, the writer. Thomas Paine, one another president. I can't remember who you but. And Adlai Stevenson was also a president of America, but Herbert Spencer, I don't remember that he was. I don't think he was a president, but he's one of those great thinkers. And let me just read this here. I said this to the Prime Minister, if you all don't set Tobago free, you all would not be free. I said that on your program several times.
Yes.
You're not going to be free.
Yes, so true.
And this is why it reminds me about Elijah. He was hearing something and he was saying something. Like Noah heard something. And he cut his wood, building ark, people laughing. But he hears something. It's God alone that knows the future. So if you have to build for the future before it arrives, you have to hear from God and build. Let me just give you this quote. Freedom is not merely a word or an abstract theory, but the most effective instrument for advancing the welfare of man. Like the President of America, John F. Kennedy. What you say, what? Freedom is not theory, It's not just some abstract term that somebody uses. He says the most effective instrument for advancing the welfare of man. That's why the United Nations make sure they pass self-determination as international law. There's a reason for it. The people must be free to set up the system, set up their own government here to run, talk independence now, and so on, to determine their own destiny. The second quote, Abraham Lincoln. Listen to this one. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under a just God cannot long retain it. Summary, let me read that again. The President of America, a former president. Listen to what I said. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under a just God cannot long retain it. So if you have freedom and you deny another man freedom, under a just God, you can't keep your freedom. You can be disrupted. That's what he said. And it's true. John Stuart Mill. The only freedom which deserves the name is that of pursuing our own good in our own way, so long as we do not attempt to deprive others of theirs or impede their effort to obtain it. Let me read it again. The only freedom, we're saying, the only freedom which deserves to be called freedom, is that of pursuing our own. People must be able, that's what the United Nations say, is that of pursuing our own good in our own way. We want to fix up the people's business at Tobago. God created us and put us here. So long as when you're doing that, like we say, so long as when you are pursuing your own good in your own way, because we understand Tobago well, we understand the culture, we understand the people. So long as when you are doing that, you do not attempt to deprive others of their freedom, or you put obstacles in their way, like we say, or impede their efforts to obtain it. The way Trinidad are doing to Tobago for a long time, and they don't understand that they are damaging themselves. and Thomas Paine, he was a former president, you know. He says, those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigues of supporting it. If you expect to keep your freedom, you must support other people who must get their freedom. That's what the United Nations did, you know. Trinidad operating in violation to international law and breaking all these natural principles, even God law and his standard. That's why he sent down Moses to say, set my people free. They're not free down in Egypt. They can't serve me. No one can be perfectly free till all are free. And that is Herbert Spencer. And the final president, Adlai Stevenson, say, a hungry man is not a free man. But it's the other three that I have quoted that make it important. Very important. Those who deny freedom to others, I have to tell the Prime Minister, you know, those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. And you know the God is a just God. And under a just God cannot long retain it. So if you are free and you're denying others their freedom, you're not going to be free for long. That's it. And it's true. It's so important. We take these things a joke.
Yes.
My good friend Sean Lovelace, good afternoon, my brother. Yes. I now just see him. Yeah, I know, just see like in logging. Very important. And as I pointed out before, that Tobago need to be free. And this is what is happening to Tobago. Nobody can fix this. You know? We know the answer, but because of the fact that the people of Tobago are not yet ready to do what God has just done, I have to do this education program first to point out to you that the assembly that we have in Tobago existed from the 4th day of December 1980. We operated that assembly under one bit of legislation until the 9th day of December 1996. 16 years we operated the assembly without a minority leader, with no division. You had different parties that would have contested. And the system we operated is what was actually formalized by Act number 40 of 1996, the one we have in place now. That's what I did, you know. This is why when I came here and I said to you that Dr. Mackenzie raised the question if there is a tie. If there is a tie in the assembly, because when the legislation went in 1996, when they were debated in the Senate, you remember she asked the question, if there is a tie, 6 because 12 seats, what's going to happen? You remember the Attorney General responded and said, we consider that. We're not setting up anything in Tobago with division. We don't want that kind of thing in Tobago. And that is, I'm sure Robinson would have briefed him, because Robinson was the person who was the chairman of the first assembly, that operated the assembly from that time for a number of years, and the system we put in place, we don't know nothing also. And that is why when Robinson come, he's the one who piloted that motion in the parliament to pass the law that we have. And we have to pay attention to him. He is the one that pilot the legislation, that have it passed to produce Act number 40 of 1996. And when he came in 2001 to inaugurate the assembly, when Aubrey was made chief secretary and I was made minority leader because I lost the election. You remember he said some things, and I read them, and people, I don't know, I did it already, but sometimes I have to repeat some of these things, you know. It's so important
for the people to know.
Yeah. When Robinson come to inaugurate the assembly, people don't know the assembly. This is why I'm prepared to teach them. What are you talking about tie? And are you talking about deadlock? That don't exist here. And I pointed out, and I did it at the meetings that I'm going to be having. The next one is Thursday at Goodwood, I told you that. And then the next one is the following Saturday down here. The next Saturday right here at Boko. And then the last one is at Mason Hall on the following Thursday. And you're going to send it for you Miss Lady may not have sent it to you. But let me come back to the issue. So Mr. Robinson now he's the one who piloted the legislation. He knows the act inside out. And he now come as president now. The man was the minister extraordinaire who piloted the legislation in the parliament. All right? And produced Act number 40 of 1996. Now, he came to Tobago as president now. He became president in 1997. And he came to Tobago to, as president, swear us in, the assembly set up, and he now deliver his inaugural address to us, telling us how we should operate. Every president does that. And I'm not going to read the whole document, maybe. I wonder if I should read it.
I would say yes, because we need the people to know it.
Yeah, because sometimes I do these things one off, So after the assembly was inaugurated, after the assembly was set up completely, instituted on the 1st of February 2001, I now demit office as chief secretary and become minority leader. Mr. Robinson now come to deliver his address to us, and he is actually now addressing us. And I better read his address again, so that people in Tobago must tell these people who are in the assembly, the 12 of them, that they have no clue. They don't know what the assembly is all about. This is why they are on foolishness. They don't know. Let me read Robinson address. President Robinson. 1st of February 2001. Madam Presiding Officer, I thank you for your gracious invitation to speak. I would like to make just a few remarks. You, the members of your assembly, Madam Presiding Officer, Chief Secretary, Minority Leader, and other members of the assembly, you have duly taken your oaths of office and have elected your officers. I mean, Chief Secretary appointed everybody. So you know, addressing us. I wish to congratulate all of you for your success in the electoral process and for your undertaking of the oaths that you gave this morning. I would like you to think carefully of those oaths that you have taken. This island has had a long and tortuous history. It has been the source of conflict between imperialisms. I mean, all them world power from Europe and things fighting for we. Conflict changed 32 times. That's what you're talking about there. Right. Now, we have a House of Assembly representing the people. So whereas in the past, before the House of Assembly, you had institutions. Those institutions were hardly representative of the people. That's quite true. Before the House of Assembly, there was a county council, which was a mere arm of the central government. There was one representative in Parliament, and that number increased to 2. And this House of Assembly has emerged after a long and arduous process engaged in by the people, and may I repeat, by the people of Tobago. Because this stage would never have been reached had the people not willed it. So you sit here as a culmination, meaning the ending now, in a sense of a stage in a long history of representatives of an institution willed by the people. The people willed it. They say, this is what we want. That's what I mean, right? And while it is necessary never to forget the past, it is of the greatest importance now to look to the future, to focus your attention primarily on the future of the island's people whom you represent. The House of Assembly is, in a sense, a unique institution in this part of the world. What are you saying? You get nothing like it. unique. While you sit on different sides, you notice the shape of the chamber. You don't have one side and another side in opposition.
So true.
You know that what they have in there? You know that's not what we create there. You know that's what they're doing now. Sorry. You do have a semicircle, a curvature in the chamber, and the curvature represents an area where you can continually meet psychologically, if not physically, psychologically, where you have a meeting of minds. In this meeting of minds, you collectively represent the aims and the aspirations and the interests of the people of Tobago, whom you and nobody else represent. The assembly also is configured in terms of its membership differently from other bodies which are representative of people elsewhere. Again, not like this nowhere else. There is a chief secretary. The chief secretary is the principal person responsible for the execution, the carrying out of the will of the people as a whole. There are secretaries who assist in this process and together with the chief secretary constitute an executive council. Each member of the executive council is elected by the assembly. You know, people don't know that, you know. I would explain how it is done. They don't know that because they don't see it. You don't want to vote.
Exactly.
But I will read the law for them. That is how it is done.
I think that is what everybody.
Each member of the executive council is elected by the assembly. This makes a very great difference from other institutions, other parliamentary institutions. No other parliamentary institution nowhere else in the world is like the Tobago House of Assembly. This makes a very great difference from other institutions, other parliament institutions. Each member of the executive council as secretary is elected by the assembly, so that you have individual and collective representation. You have individual and what collective representation. Then there is a minority leader. Now, note carefully, it is not an opposition leader. It is a minority leader who collects the views as far as possible of the minority in the assembly and presents those views without prejudice to any other member individually expressing his or her views. So here you have the elements of a wonderful democracy. Wait, let me read it again. So here, meaning in the assembly, you have the elements of a wonderful democracy where there is no imposition, where collectively you seek to represent, take into account the views of every single member while collating and collecting those views, of course, representing and giving effect to those views. And of course, you cannot represent every single view by every single member. Obviously, there are differences. Therefore, you seek to arrive at agreement, consensus, as the case may be. And in that way, you represent the people of Tobago. I emphasize, always bear in mind your trust. You have a sacred trust as public officers to represent the people and to carry out the trust faithfully and well. There must be no room. I respectfully submit to you, there must be no room for personal antagonism in this assembly. Ain't you having the opposite of that now? It's war. They don't know what they have. That is not the intention of the assembly. Hello. Wait, Robinson. That is not the intention of the assembly. The intention of the assembly is to deal with the business of the people and not with one's own business or one's ambition, as the case may be. Correct. Always, it must be focused on what is good and what is right for the people of the island. In this way, if you proceed, the fate of the island will be in your hands and will be in the hands of no others. The destiny of this island will be in your hands and in the hands of no others. If collectively you get agreement, if you get agreement and collectively represent your views, you will have differences. There are bound to be differences in a democratic assembly. But if you can collect those views and present a unified approach on important matters, the destiny of this island and the island's people will be in your hands. I have said enough for the morning. All I can say is, as the school children will know, a great English leader said long ago, the fate of this nation is in your hands. I repeat a similar expression. The destiny of this island is in your hands. I would wish to be in no hands but yours, and I thank you. Could you tell me if this is where they operate in there? This is the man who pilot the legislation to pass the bill. Now we become these things are not done accidentally. It's the work of God Almighty. He has now become president. And he has now come when there is a change from me who understand how it should function to another person who don't understand it. He come to address us. You will tell me, hey no man, hey, this thing don't know, we should not have no war in here. We not should say about we private business. So when I went and I said to people, do you know that the Tobago House of Assembly does not, and the Act does not recognize political parties? Although political parties are the vehicles that go up and contest the election outside there. After the election is done, when the members get in the house, they do not know more political parties in this operation. Not like Parliament, not like the Parliament in Trinidad. Section 76 of the Constitution recognize political parties in the Constitution, because it says in Section 76 that when the Prime Minister is to be appointed after a general election, the party that wins the majority of seat, the leader of that party that wins a seat, and in that house, he will be appointed Prime Minister. It's recognized party yet? The Assembly does not recognize party, and this is why is all the 12 people, no matter what side you're on, it could be 5, 6, 4 party, 3 parties that go up. All the elected members, the 12, will sit down and elect the Chief Secretary and the Deputy Chief Secretary. There's no party.
Okay. Understood. So to all our viewers, I think you get that. Let's take a comments from Mr. Alvin Samaru there from the top. We have 3 comments from him.
He said, like knights off a round table, all are equal to serve the people governed by. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. They don't understand the Constitution, and what I am saying to you now, I would have, as you know, I would have called them to speak. Yeah. And I don't think that any one of them really, but I'm not saying that they deny, any one of them really want to settle this issue. Because I'm hearing something new yesterday, that the PDP might have said that they are setting up some parallel structure or some shadow something. I don't know how that is going to work. I mean, you don't try to excite and incite the population on foolishness. The people elect you all. This is the inaugural address by the person who pilot the legislation. I am sitting because I understand it well. Yes. And if you understand this, they will like, settle that matter already. The matter would have been settled. Because you go into the house, inside there, and now you recognize that we don't recognize party, but you're going on with your PNM and your PDP. You can't be PDP and PNM when you go in there. You can practice your politics outside.
Right, but when you go inside.
But when you go inside there, the Constitution of the Tobago House of Assembly does not recognize political party like the Constitution, and this is why Robinson keep emphasizing in there that this institution is not like any other parliamentary institution nowhere else, not even like the one in Trinidad. It's different. But what they're looking at, they are looking at what exists in Trinidad and elsewhere and using that, and that is why all the pundits and they failed when they were saying what you should do is this, you should do that, you should have power sharing. And I said, but the Assembly make to operate as one unit. What power sharing? Sharing with one who? You still keeping in your mind PDP and PNM. That is why you're talking about power sharing. So the PNM must share power with the PDP and the PDP must share power with the PNM. And I said the assembly does not recognize that. You have to forget your party and forget yourself when you go in there to operate. We operate the assembly for 16 years without no minority leader. Everybody go inside there, you elect your people, you start a function. Anybody can become a secretary. Anyone. Yes. So when Robinson said they elected, they couldn't see what Robinson saying. Act number 40 of 1996.
Yes, my people, don't forget you can follow us on YouTube as well.
I want to
look for GLS.
I want to
online radio station.
Just look at this one thing quickly, because I didn't come to deal with this at all, you know. I don't know, but you see, because it's the current issue, and the people in Tobago are tired of the foolishness. They voted and expected that they would have good governance in the country today, and nothing has happened. But people are misleading them now about tie, and this no want to share no power, and they don't want to do this. That is not how the assembly is made to work. The assembly is made to work in a way where when the 12 go inside there, the 12 now will become like the representative of Tobago, and they don't recognize party inside there. But we know you come from a party, but you have to forget that, you have to drop that.
Yes.
For example, I pointed out, when you have a trade union and they have elections, you have two slates going up sometime. And
yes.
two slates in a trade union election. Any election, sometimes you have two seats. I'll come to the PNM party just now. And they have slates?
Of course.
Sometimes, who turn out to be the President General may win his seat. But the Secretary General was not in his slate.
So true.
Was on the other person's slate, but that person lose President General. But the union has to function as a union.
Exactly.
You can't run that now as though you have division. You have to run it as a trade union. Look at the PNM. Kelvin Charles had a slate. Forget all the little shenanigans and so on.
Right.
Kelvin Charles went up with a slate. And the chairman on the slate was Calendar. Calendar was the chairman who go up on Kelvin Charles' slate. Kelvin was political leader. And Kelvin. And the boy, Wendell Buckley, was the chairman on Tracy's slate as chairman.
Okay.
And you can, I will write down them all list, because the list there, and I'm going to write it down. What happened? Tracy become political leader. Kelvin lose. But Tracy chairman was that boy, Wendell.
Yes.
Where he is? Calendar was upon Charles slate. And he becomes chairman.
So true.
But his political leader lose. Would they mash up the party? The party has to function as a party. But the slates go up. So after the election, you have to forget the slates and function as a party. That is what this thing we were setting up in Tobago is, something that is unique. They don't understand it. And your people inside it to run it, they don't understand it. When you finish the election, we take politics to be so nasty. When you finish the election on January 25th and you go in the house, you're forgetting party to operate. You have to focus on Tobago. And that's the point Robinson making here in his speech. It's Tobago you have to function on. We come in here to fix it Tobago people business. We party for it. When you finish and you leave there, when you go and set up your business and you got there, of course, when I got there, I go in my constituency, I going out and campaigning as my party in my constituency, setting up there, I trying to undermine everything that you even do outside there, because I want my party to win you next time.
Yes.
But the point is, when you come into the house, you're a different kettle of fish. We have to discuss Tobago people business and fix Tobago people business. Just like the case I give you with trade union and with political party internal election. You're not focusing as party, not as slates. When you go in there, you don't know about political party. Can't go there with that. You don't have that. And that will mess it up the thing. They don't understand it. And the law says, look at section 34. Let me look at section 33 of the Tobago's Assembly Act. Listen to what he says.
Good afternoon to Wayne Clark.
My brother, the Executive Council shall comprise A, the Chief Secretary, B, the Deputy Chief Secretary, and C, such other secretaries not being more than 7 selected from among the members of the Assembly as the President acting in accordance with the advice of the Chief Secretary may appoint. Now, I listen to Tracy talking about this. Ain't that the law? But he doesn't end there. Subsection 2 of Section 33 says this. Let me see again. The Executive Council shall consist of what? The Chief Secretary. The deputy. We know that they are elected by the 12. And the Deputy Chief Secretary elected by the 12. You know no party there, no. And all the members elect the chief and elected deputy. So all of us say this is going to be we chief. This is going to be we deputy. No party there. But listen to this. C says, and such other secretaries not being more than 7 selected from among the members of the Assembly as the President acting in accordance with the advice of the Chief Secretary may appoint. So what I mean, that the Chief Secretary now will tell the President to appoint not more than 7 more to be secretaries, right? You know what I mean? But how is that done? Listen to what he says how it is done. The subsection 2 says, the Chief Secretary shall consult the members before he advises the President in accordance with subsection 1C. Before the Chief Secretary tell the President who to appoint as them 7 secretaries, you have to consult all the members of the Assembly, no party. Okay. That's what the law says. That's why Robinson said they are all elected. Because the members will choose them.
So true. Yeah.
They don't understand this, sir. They do not understand this. Not may consult, it shall consult. So when I hear them fighting about I want the Secretary of Finance and I want this and that, I say, but wait, I wonder if they understand it to go to Assembly. Huh? They don't understand it.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, fine, you are chief. Let me have the consultation. That's how the consultation will take place. Eh?
So true.
And this is no way you agree on. So you can't go.
Oh, Lord.
And they don't understand. They believe that secretaries have power to do things.
Mm-hmm.
I know this thing inside out. We prepared a brief for this. And people read Section 34 that talks about the Executive Council shall carry out the responsibilities of the Assembly. But we always miss subsection 3. That the Executive Council, which is the chief, the deputy, and not more than 7 secretaries, right? That's the Executive Council. And Section 34 says the Executive Council function is to carry out the functions of the Assembly. And all those functions are in the 5th schedule. Section 25 and the 5th schedule. Education, health, all of them, right? But listen to subsection 3 of Section 34. And they're missing this. Who teaching them? It says, subject to subsection 2, where you say that members are individually and collectively responsible to the Assembly for all that they do. The Assembly, meaning all, everybody. It says, in the exercise of their powers, the members of the Executive Council shall be individually and collectively responsible to the Assembly. You, as a secretary, and as members of the Executive Council, as an individual secretary, and collectively as all the secretaries together, collectively mean the Executive Council, you are responsible for to the Assembly for what you're doing.
Okay.
But listen to subsection 3. Subject to that, subsection 2, decisions of the Executive Council may be implemented without prior approval of the Assembly. Anybody understand what I mean? What this is saying, that we know this thing inside out. What this is saying, because we know that the Assembly has meet once a month, but the Executive Council doing day-to-day business. You're in health and education and works and everything like that. They have to carry out their work function. But every decision they make must come to the Assembly for approval, for this debate and discussion. That's what they say, It says subject to subsection 2, decisions of the assembly, decisions of the executive council may be implemented without the prior approval. So you don't have to wait to get the approval of the assembly before you implement. You can implement it, but it must come.
Exactly.
So what is the power? What power the secretaries have? They have no power.
I catch you. I see it. So.
Ooh, the second most powerful person is the Secretary of Finance, because you know the Chief Secretary. I hear that, you know. If I is saying that, because you know the Chief Secretary and call him and tell him to do X, Y, and Z. I say, but what kind of nonsense is this? You belong to the Executive Council. You make the Secretary of Finance can only do what the Executive Council say he must do with regards to finance. Nothing else.
Nothing.
And then he had to come back and we must know in the Executive Council whether he did it.
Yes.
I ain't going to the Assembly yet. We come back to the Executive Council, all of us inside there.
Yes.
So he doesn't have any power.
Any at all.
No. I don't see what they're fighting for, you know.
They have nothing, exactly.
They don't know the law. I would have set up this thing long time, you know. Especially 6-6. I set up long time.
Long time.
Listen to me. And every decision, the works, every decision of works, you have to bring your work program. The work program of the Division of Works, the work program of the Division of Health has to come to the Executive Council. We approve it in the Executive Council, and only that you can implement out there. What power you have?
Exactly such.
Where you think the Secretary of Works to go on and build a road by himself? He has to be approved. Finance has to be provided to him to do it. I don't know what they're fighting for, you know. They really don't have a clue. You know, them people should be fired. The people at Tobago should remove every one of them, you know, because they're not fit, you know. They're not fit.
Yes.
Thank you, Brother Wayne Clark. Good afternoon. Brother Samaru, people first, always. But sometimes it's the how, you know. People don't understand. People use those kind of words. They think they're cliches. People first.
Yes.
To Mama Guy, you. But how you do people, how you put people first? How? What we put people first? By preparing a development program for Tobago. We call a development plan for Tobago for 15 years. Alright? And it is the people who prepare that. And then what you do, because it's their own, they say this is what we want. And what you do is to implement that. Every year you implement part of that. So it means that you put the people first because it's their plan. Anything else is your own whim and fancy. It's like answering to a JSC for any action taken. Well, this one is more than that. JSC is just a committee. But this one is answering to the whole elected body of people. So thank you, Brother Samaru. You have a good idea. But this one is more than JSC. JSC is a committee of a whole. But this one is the whole assembly that is responsible to all the elected members. We have a wonderful democracy, as Robinson say here, but we don't know how to work it. They don't understand the law. Because remember, there are some lawyers who are saying that there is no provision in the law for power sharing. And I said, what power sharing? The assembly was made to operate like that, where everybody inside there, every single one of the elected people inside there can become something. Become a secretary if you want to. Once it doesn't outnumber the provision, the limit given by the Tobago Assembly Act. And people don't understand that. They don't know what to do. They don't have no power, you know. We on stupidness. Oh God. So I am saying now where we are, the people at Tobago not getting up. And that is why we're doing this education program. The people of Tobago should get up and call upon those people to say, you know, now that I am educating the population, should get up and tell them, hey, we now understand that you all are supposed to forget the whole question of your party. Take off your party hat and your party clothes when you go into the assembly and put on Tobago clothes. And all of you, because the people of Tobago voted for the 12 of you. And what the act is intended to do, and it says so in the law, is that the 12 of you must now sit up Forget your party. If they forget their party, the thing settle already. Let we practice our party politics outside of the assembly. And it's going to work. It's going to work. It's so easy to say, because you know it's the law. You know, the law says so, you know. The law really say that how this thing is supposed to function. But people breaching it, you know. Power sharing. And I hear this kind of crap. What you don't even know power. Because we're talking about government in Tobago. Powers of government are of three kinds. Legislative, meaning that you could pass laws. The assembly could pass any law. So it means that you don't get that power to pass no law. Powers of government are of three kinds. Legislative to pass law, executive to implement those laws, and judiciary to interpret those laws. You don't get none of them. So what power you sharing? What governmental power you sharing? You have no governmental power. That is what self-government is going to bring. Some governmental power. While you keep intact Trinidad and Tobago as a nation, but you will know a governmental power because you are now in a position in order to pass law. You know, law is policy. So when you make a policy decision, in order to implement it, you have the law, and then you could enforce that law. So that policy is ready, law is policy, and so on. Oh, wow. Alvin Samaru, you say, understand, yes. Love you, my brother, always. We don't know. You vote for people. You remember what Lumumba says? Professor Lumumba says this, you know, and he's quite right. Those with the ideas have no power. You don't vote the people inside who have any ideas. And those with the power have absolutely no ideas.
I always like that phrase.
Absolutely no ideas. You have gone and voted some people into the assembly that have no idea how the thing should work.
Exactly.
And that is why you are in a quandary right now. Not even in limbo, but in a quandary. And we sit here and the law is clear, the intent of the law is clear, but they don't understand it, and they're not entreating with anybody who could help them so that this thing could set up tomorrow morning. And wait until the self-government thing is brought forward. Because remember that the Joint Select Committee is supposed to complete its work and report by next month. And that is why we're doing this education program, to ensure that the report of the Joint Select Committee will meet with the people, will meet with the forum, will meet with the people here. So in order to go through that document that they have, because they are arrogating unto themselves. I want to repeat that. The Joint Select Committee of Parliament arrogating unto themselves powers that they don't have.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, because what they are attempting to do while the matter remains so long is they are attempting to do matters that are in violation of international law. International law says that the people of Tobago have the right to their self-determination. All you need to do is to hear from them what is it that they want to do for themselves, and you are the parliament in Trinidad, you have to pass it. You have no discussion in that, because that is settled by international law already. But they're sitting down to determine whether you should get water, you should be responsible for water, whether you should be responsible for the health of Tobago, whether you should be responsible for tea and tech in Tobago and so on. That is in violation of international law. And that is why we are waiting patiently, for the government, for the Joint Select Committee to finish its work, and to meet with us, to point that out, because we prepared the documentation already. In fact, it's done. Waiting to give Trinidad and Tobago a chance as a nation to make sure that they settle this thing, or else we are making a formal complaint to the United Nations Human Rights Commission that Trinidad is operating a colony in Tobago, and that is so. Not my words,
So true.
Operating a colony in Tobago, not even contrary to, but in violation of international law. Yeah, brother. Yes, brother Samaru. We have gone and put clueless people in the place. And you have so many people out here with clue.
Hence.
That way brother Samaru says, yeah, clueless. Always Samaru say, oh gosh, it's true. He say, amen up to somebody, oh boy. It's true. This thing is so easy to settle, oh God. But who is talking to anybody now? What does that mean? Then you see the PDP went inside there and sound like a bull in a china shop. They run back out and put in all sorts of things, exciting the population. And I'm hearing that Tracy and they saying that they remove from the bargaining table. And it's really not a lie, you know. Because we hear Duke say that everything start back from fresh. You remember? While they were talking, he says everything start back from fresh. And I'm saying, if he understand the Tobago House of Assembly Act and he understand what is required to be done, he would never have done that. He would have gone to the house with what I am now saying and have the matter settled so that the house could function. So that the house could function.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, that's a serious problem.
What you do it? And then finally now come saying something I don't like to even talk about that, you know. Come talking about setting up some shadow something. And I think they start from today or something like that, or from yesterday. To do what? Could you tell me how that is benefiting the people of Tobago? And you have to understand that you can't do something contrary to law. Anytime they do something contrary to the law, they are putting themselves in problem. They are supposed to be lawmakers. You can't be lawmakers and lawbreakers at the same time. You're setting no example to the population. I don't know how that is intended to function. This parallel. You see, they're looking at Parliament in Trinidad.
I want to impose the same thing here.
What shadow means, and we don't have that here. What shadow means is that you are an alternative government. The opposition, we don't have opposition here. You understand that? The opposition in the Parliament, for example, like in Trinidad, UNC and PNM.
Right.
PNM are Minister of National Security.
Correct.
You would have somebody who you have on your side that in case you had won the election, that person would have likely be. So that person is going to be the person who will handle all national security, will be the front person in the Parliament to deal with national security.
Understand.
Just like the girl here, she is the shadow Minister of Health. So Minister of Education. So anytime Gaspar Dolly talk, it means that that particular person from the opposition side is going to be the person who will normally respond. You will have other people who will respond, but that is the person that is earmarked to deal with that. Could you tell me how this one in Tobago is going to function when we don't have a system like that? You see, they're operating something that we don't have yet. So you can't talk about shadow. There's no shadow here. You only get shadow when you have a government and opposition. They're supposed to go in the house, the 12, and function as one unit.
Yes.
And there are too many children inside there. All of them are children.
Everyone.
They have a clue. You know, it saddens me, you know, Brother Murray. You know, a farmer put on his garden, plant the potato, his sweet pepper, plant a nice field of 2-3 acres of that, boy. They're just ready. Start to bear, boy. And you know, start to count your blessing. And a man let go 3-4 cattle inside and run through it.
Yes, it is. I know that.
You know, that is every time I watch the assembly, that will come to my mind.
Yes.
You put on something, oh God, and somebody plunder, run through the thing there with animal and plunder it. From Orville, London down, plunder the place.
Yes.
Something bring tears to your eye. And I'm not saying that in an emotional way, no. Bring tears to your eye. See your garden now ready to bloom. You're waiting to come to and say, Lord, we're now going to enter paradise. And I see a fella cattle go down the old Lord. Mr. Murray, you ever be a farmer? I've been a farmer. In fact, I still do my own little farming. I grow all my food to eat. But I grow a massive farm. An animal run through that, boy. That's what they do with the assembly. It's hurtful, you know. painful. Somebody say real talk. So Macmillan.
Yes, yes.
But it's true. It's very painful. Now Tobago would have been able to finance really that. And I don't want to deal with those matters yet. Until, me tell you, budget is coming up. Budget is coming up for Tobago. And budget is also coming up for the nation. And I know where we are, where the economy is right now, and the financial situation in the country. I'm going to bring those documentation that I've been talking about for so many years and show you where Tobago would have been today had we not turned back the hands of the clock.
Exactly.
Tobago would have been financing Trinidad now, even with COVID. But we just holding those. I think I pointed out to you, but I wouldn't be able to read it here sometime. That nobody knew that I, as Chief Secretary, is the only time that ever happened. You know, I addressed the CARICOM heads of government.
Yes, I remember.
The 6th of July, 1999. That address is right there. To see the things I tell them. Is the problem we're facing today. I'm going to republish that, you know. Republish it. In fact, my wife always tell me prepare a book. Maybe I will just do them as one booklet, and just do them, you know. I don't have the time, you know. I always tell people, because Brother B and they always call me to talk about what they call it, community legend, and I tell them, no, I don't promote myself. He say, man, so many things about you, everybody talk. I say, God say, we don't seek your own glory. And people don't understand me yet, you know. Think I want something. I say, yes, I want something. The something that I want is to see Tobago free and empowered. Oh God, I will relax here and I will hear them song there and say, oh God, you mean is this we didn't understand, we are missing. It's just like the people in Egypt, in Israel. They didn't understand God tell them, go in the promised land. Go in. You see them on the bank of the Jordan. He said, only when you go inside there, all that I promised you inside.
Yes.
You're on the back of Jordan. Tobago here. I love you all.
I see Mr. Alvin, somebody put up cow and sheep. Yes,
oh,
Mr.
Lord. You know, because the things that were going to happen in Tobago, do you know we started to breed some sheep in that place? In Blenheim, sheep farm, a new breed of sheep, Winrock. Do you know we were supposed to have producing our own cheese and from thing in Roxburgh? Sometimes when I see where we take Tobago, look all them lands down there, all the flat lands down in Canaan side.
Yeah.
When I still pass Tony Bishop Estate and look at it now, did you notice I don't talk about them things? I don't talk about projects and these items. And I don't want to open people's eyes. When I pass by Lato and I look at both sides, when you're going down to Chauvin before you meet the mall by traffic light, and I look at both sides, I said, oh God. Oh God, Brother Murray. We'd have start a pilot project there to produce all the vegetable and food in and onion we want for Tobago and for Trinidad. In them land there, because you can do mechanical farming there.
Yes.
You hardly have lands elsewhere that you can do those kind of large scale farming. Man going up on in the hillside with a cutlass and a hoe, you can't compete with nobody else doing agriculture. When a man could put a tractor and plow down 40, 50, 1,000 acres of land down on the flat here, you up there cutlassing with a hoe.
Yeah.
The cost of production is so high. I don't want to discuss them things on television and on radio. When I watch them places and I said, God, we're begging for food, right?
I tell you, yeah.
And they're still here, you know.
Yes.
We only building up things. This thing is not, there's no reversal of what's happening, you know. The disaster that is taking place now, there's no reversal of that. And you'll find more strains, and I don't want to talk like that. But I'm just telling you, we go into the end. We go into eternity. We go into the end. We go into mortality. We go in there. We have to understand that. Can reverse this.
Can
A
reverse.
new strain coming up, and there's even a new one coming up in South Africa.
Yes,
Again,
I heard
a
that
second
even
strain from that one.
Even self in America, I understand that.
Yeah,
new
there's
strain
another.
come out.
We don't understand what's happening. It's for us to pay attention and to come back to God. And I saying that for a long time. Let's come back. We are looking around to see what the invisible God would have done. And we don't believe. Just check the historical records and you will see by all the things that was written in the manual there by that in the past, you know them things happen. These things happen, you know. But you're so bright to believe that the rest, the few things that remain will not happen. All up. But you bright to say, well, me I think this one go happen. But God is good.
Let's
I
take
love-
some comments from Alvin, and then we have
Who's Alvin?
Mr. Alvin Samaru, and then we have from Mr. Leet.
I don't know what happened to the Irish Tech and Tobago. I'm not there. They mash it up. I just tell you them for that plunder it. But you remember when we were doing Cloudnoil Highway, a lot of those trees that they say plant on the sides. Remember we had cockroach grasses to hold the slopes and so on.
Yeah.
And then we had trees all along. We were supposed to have fruit trees.
Okay.
You don't know. We were supposed to be producing in Sudley Park and Goldsboro. We started to now set up that program there in Goldsboro and in Sudley Park.
Okay.
Especially the Goldsboro there,
Goldsboro,
yeah,
yeah.
to produce food for this nation. Not to compete with the farmers. The farmers and they would have building. Remember, we are supposed to run. All of these things are documented. That in the assembly. We are supposed to be running water main in Tobago dedicated for agriculture.
Yeah.
Look the amount of water. We have no sedimentation pond. We have no settlement pond. I gone to Israel and see when people in this desert. And people feeding themselves and feeding other nations in the world. I went there in the wilderness and plant pine trees. I plant trees there, in Israel.
You see?
And I'm just saying to you that we have all this water in the rainy season running down to the sea. And we were going to be trapping that and run a dedicated line to all the farms that we have in Tobago. Trap them wherever they are and run lines so that the farmers will never be out and not using treated chlorine water to water our plants. And those lines would have been, so anytime you see a red pipeline, well, I'm just using a color, but that is what we had said then. We're going to run a red pipeline. Anytime you see it, you know that you're not drinking water, not potable water.
Right.
They're going to farm. All this water. We have not done anything, man. We have done nothing in this place in 20 years now. And it's the same water in the pipe where we treat for people to drink and to send to the hotels and send to whatever that we using to water we plants.
Everything.
But we just started to do agriculture yet.
Exactly.
So when people call me and ask me these things, I don't come on a television or a radio program. Sometimes it will take you a long time. It just gets you annoyed to see the potential of this little place they call Tobago, and to see we have no leadership.
Exactly.
Look what Tiantec is. Tiantec still in Scarborough. The generating plant. I bought from Finland the thing we're down in Cove there now,
Cove, yeah.
and put 2 dual fired generator inside it for use gas, use diesel, and when the gas come you switch from Finland. The same thing what they're trying to do down there. That was being done, and Tiantec was supposed to be removed from there to its location in Bacalet. In the heart of town. You remember there was supposed to be the transport hub in town?
Yes.
With restaurant and everything like that, and buildings there, a hotel and buildings there. So that when you're waiting in the transport hub, right there, we go and build the financial complex there. That financial complex will belong to which part Warner Belly place in Bacalet there. Them little house in there. That was supposed to be the financial complex.
Okay.
You put it in the heart there. And about traffic, I tell
I
people
know.
it's not road that create traffic problem, you know.
Yeah, so true.
It's land use.
Land use, yeah.
Because if you build a supermarket down here, watch me, with good prices, vehicle gonna find there, you know. You build
Yeah.
a school inside there,
They're
people
gonna find
go for traffic got to go there to carry the children.
Yes, yeah.
You put it inland revenue and put that in the heart of the town.
Yes.
We don't. So as you're waiting for transportation, whether it's maxi taxi, conventional taxi, or you're waiting for the public transport, that area, that's our Tiantec, all where the Victor Bruce, that particular area was supposed to be for that.
Yes, yes.
So you would have buildings there, you know. You have hotel, the people come, they want to stay in the town to do business, whatever, it would have been done there. Downstairs is where you have the restaurants and everything, because once you're waiting at transport up, people want water, they want food, they want this, they want that, and so you always have that in a transport hub, because people are waiting for transport.
Yes.
They're coming to get transport.
Yes.
We are doing nothing in this place, you know.
Let's just take some comments before we into 7
I must say,
o'clock.
open up a can of worms, you know. Every time I watch our development program, that nothing to do to that, and people crying, and we still have 65,000 people in Tobago, and people still unemployed and crying. It bleeds your heart.
Yes, yeah.
This population should be over 120,000 people to make it viable. We have the space for it. We have the resources to do it. I didn't come to talk about them things there, Mr. Mark.
Well, we into the 7 o'clock hour. Just take these comments before we
I'll win so that they have 4 strains in America.
Right,
right
take
now.
this one, Winston Leach, right where you see the mouse is passing.
Lack of vision, any blind. I about this. Yes, I got him.
Take a next
Thank you.
comment from Winston Leach
The
again.
politics of the elite is to keep the masses in ignorance. That's quite true, my brother.
There's the next one out.
That's quite true, my brother, but I hope that we open their eyes. We are having 4 meetings, so we are going to continue. Oh my God. This it was. 5 megawatts generator. Yeah. But we have those up there, they're more than that.
There's the next one down in the bottom here. Take that one.
Wow.
Ooh, they are moving quickly.
Wow. Somewhere along the line, London, them fall asleep. They say the World Food Day event is just a political event. But of course, almost everything that they do is something that has to do with some parties and political foolishness. Up to now, the Mama Guy, a lot of people in the sporting field. I want a lot of young people, a lot of stuff. And I'm saying you need to encourage them, but no Mama Guy them. And put them up on a place they're going to fall. You're preparing them for a fall. That's how you do things, man. I don't like to talk about those things because it looks like if you're criticizing somebody. And I'm saying that you're setting up the young people for a fall. You have to prepare them for who they are.
So true.
Before you tell them what they must do.
What they must do, so true. Take a nice comments from Mr. Winston Lee there.
He said, Lumumba says, we elect hyenas to take care of our goats.
Yes.
And when the goats are controlled, we wonder why. Excellent. I used to say, never invite the fox to design your foul pen. Yes, man, I love that one, Brother Lee. That you invite, you elect and put hyena to see about your goat. And when your goat and them get consumed, you want to find out what happened. And you know the hyena, them bad dog there, they feed them.
Yes.
Well, you
So
put them to see about your goat. And when you miss goat, they're missing, you want to know what happened.
Yes, because
Something wrong with us.
not watching them.
Yeah. You know, man, I love this place. I didn't come to talk about so many things, but the spirit just moved this evening.
Yes.
I just
and
came.
far good, eh?
Yeah. Oh, yes, Mr. Leet, I agree. Oh, yeah, it's Samaruda telling Mr. Leet, I agree. Yeah, we really need to do something, but you can't do anything finally until you fix the politics of Tobago, you know.
So true.
You have to fix the politics of Tobago, because just remember what politics is.
Yeah.
It's the highest form of public service. Yeah. And that is what regulates what happens in the country. Every single other sector is regulated by the politicians in the country. And this is why you need to have godly politicians, godly men in politics in the country. So that you don't have the problem that we are having today.
today.
But let we continue to educate our people and have faith and trust that God is going to let His Holy Spirit touch the hearts of our people in Tobago and convict them to receiving truth so that we can come out of bondage. Because truth is what sets you free.
All the time.
But as you know, false and lies and deception is what keeps us in bondage. And we pray that God is going to let His Holy Spirit reveal the truth to us always, so that our people will be set free and be empowered. And I tell you, the day that happens, man, the day that happens, I tell you, Tobagonians going to rejoice, they're going to exceed. And those who have been in ignorance for a long time will apologize and say, oh my God, you mean this is why I didn't understand, and deny myself and my children for so long. Let me trust that. Let me continue to pray into that.
Yes.
Thank you, my brother Murray.
So at this time we wrapped up here. Don't forget every Tuesday right here with Mr. Charles. Alright, and also on Thursday with Mr. Anthony James. And we have rapid fire coming up to take you through with some nice mellow mood. Alright, so we're gonna be off and then we're gonna return.
Wow,
so
time
hey, pop in, invite a friend again. So on the behalf of GLS 103.5 online, don't forget you can look for us on YouTube. Look for GLS online radio station.
And just tell them that Thursday of this week at 5 o'clock.
Oh yes.
Turn the radio on 89.5 from 5 o'clock.
Yes.
We're doing an education program in Goodwood.
Right, I think you all just get that bulletin. Thursday coming.
5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock, tune in your
Paul's 89.5.
Paul's 89. You're gonna
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
We will be in Goodwood. It will be live.
And the location that they're gonna be is at Goodwood.
But it's gonna be live on radio.
Alright. So locked on and tune in. And remember, Mr. Charles is always here to educate. So on the behalf of GLS 103.5 online, it was nice having you all company inside. Don't forget, locked in every Tuesday. Share up, describe, and like.
Therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show my salvation. The workers of iniquity dig a pit for me. Now they're waiting for me to fall in, trying to take me bread and butter with lies and propaganda. But they're fooling, they're only fooling. I will not be afraid of what man can do to me. Man, you see, is only vanity. You see, who God bless, no man curse. He shall never hunger or thirst. Who God bless, no man shall ever curse. He shall be first. He shall be first. Lord. All these years of toil, burning the midnight oil, creating something from nothing. Now it reached maturity and gained popularity. Some of them claiming it's their own thing, but a short truth always prevails finally. So the death of lies and deceit is a certainty. You see, who God bless, no man curse. He shall never hunger or thirst. Who God bless, no man shall ever curse. He shall be first. He shall be first.
This is Caribbean Vibes.